So my name is Randy Pierce, and my condition is I am a wonderful adventurer and savorer of this experience of life. Um, but another part of my condition is that I'm totally blind because I have a neurological disorder. I was legally blind, which I didn't even understand what that meant. I thought it meant I would never do anything meaningful, anything fun, anything important in my world ever again. And that was only exacerbated as the doctors told me, we're pretty sure your condition is going to continue and it will go to total blindness, which has happened. And so I am totally blind now, or I like to joke I'm illegally blind now, right? Because I'm beyond legally blind. In that process, that took 7 episodes, 11 years. And in that process of transforming from fully sighted to fully blind, I began to learn some things. That instead of focusing on what I can't do, I needed to celebrate my ability awareness, that what you can do in this world, I think, is always going to be more important than what you can't do. And if there's something you can't do, and it's important to you, then there's a couple of key steps. First and most important is learn to believe in possibility, in yourself, and then understand that it's not magic, it's not believe, achieve, it's done, but that the most important things are going to probably take some problem solving to ask the question, how can I do them? And maybe some perseverance, some grit and determination, resiliency, pick your favorite word, but the truth is hard work is what it's going to take to get there. What I learned is that going blind, which was very hard, was not the worst thing in my life, because being blind is not very hard. It is challenging at times, but so is life for everyone. Being blind is just like being tall and being gray-haired. They're aspects of me, they don't define me. I think the biggest and most important aspect of life I enjoy that I thought was lost to me was connecting with people. Losing your sight, maybe losing any sense, can feel very isolating, and I certainly felt that. I felt alone, helpless, and hopeless, but once you learn how to connect people, and once you learn the second part of that, how to help others connect with you, because they don't necessarily know, they're uncertain, they've never dealt with it. Once you understand that you can help them along that process, you really connect and expand. You realize that as people, we all have so much more in common than different, and use the foundation of where we're common and use communication to go over how we're different. And then the magic can happen of what I like to call the acronym of TEAM, right? TEAM, together everyone achieves more. There's still days I get up and a challenge feels overwhelming. Sometimes just, the day can feel overwhelming, and I get up and I'm, come on, blind again today, really? But the reality is, it's not the absence of fear that is courage, it's the choice to understand that fear is there and to take the approach that I am going to go forward despite the fear, because I've found the way to evaluate the real risks that are involved and to make the choices that are clear. It's still a right choice to go forward with mitigated risk to enjoy all the rewards that are possible. I thought at the time that I went blind that it would be the worst thing that happened to me. And I actually think the reverse. I think it may be one of the best things that's happened to me, because adversity is often a catalyst, and it was a catalyst. I got my second degree black belt after going blind. I began climbing mountains to, some pretty impossible heights and some pretty amazing peaks. And I began running marathons, and I'm a 2-time national marathon champion. That's, those things are incredible to me. I wrote a book. I've been nominated for a Sports Emmy Award nationally. I've won a New England Emmy Award. I mean, think about these things. They're incredible. I have a plaque in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Those things are incredible. But, maybe most important to me, since that's what you asked. I founded a company, 2020 Vision Quest. And I think through that company, we've been able to positively influence the lives of thousands upon thousands of people in an assortment of ways. And I thought, if I don't get help, where would I be? If I had quit at blindness because I didn't have a few encouraging words to help me learn how to use a cane, learn how to cook, learn how to take care of myself, never mind set my sights on higher summits, what would happen to me? I wanted to say, let's make sure that doesn't happen for anybody else. And when you are struggling yourself, when life is hard, which it can be for any of us at times, help someone else. Because boy, in helping others, you instantly have value and meaning to your own life, and you instantly have one of the sweetest rewards. And if that isn't uplifting for you, I don't know what you'll find that is more uplifting. You know, somebody may have the opinion that a blind person is unable to do things. And that's really, the helplessness is the most common misconception, right? That you are unable and that you need help. And that's frequently not the case. You know, even in my situation, I climb mountains, I run marathons, and the number of people that are concerned that I can't walk from a car to a door, I kid you not. But the greatest way to resolve any misconception is education. You know, you can use words like advocacy, but it's really about sharing conversations like this. One of the things that happens is people envision blindness, for example. They envision it as suddenly closing their eyes. They envision that instant blindness. And that's not my world. And that's not the world of most people are blind. Because our sight impairment has reached a point for some stable amount of time, and we've learned. It's like I said, going blind was harder than being blind, right? So a little education to say, of course I can do these things. Here's how. And as they learn how we do things, they're like, well, that makes perfect sense. But when they close their eyes and imagine it, it's instant blindness. It's the worst case scenario. So obviously it's hard. You know, each of my guide dogs, each one, Autumn included, have at one point or another either saved my life or saved me from very serious injury because of actions they take. Think about how you feel when you have that level of debt or appreciation for the work that they've done. And that obviously builds a tremendous bond every step of the way. And the entire way they work, you know, most animals will do anything for the right treat reward system. And, you know, Autumn's no exception. She loves her treat rewards. But dogs want to please their humans so much. And that shows in everything. When she does something good, she's turning, and I can tell because I feel it in the harness, to look at me like, did I do good? And that tail is wagging and looking for that word of praise, because making me happy is as valuable to her as my making her happy is for me. But I'll share a powerful and sad aspect of that journey. So I lost the mighty Quinn to cancer, and taking a moment to not get too choked up on it. But I had started going to these schools regularly, and we continue that process. But when we knew he had terminal cancer, and we shared it eventually with our community, and after his passing, it was covered on WMUR News. TV9 News carried the passing of my guide dog. It was front page of the Nashua Telegraph. I got thousands of letters from school kids all over the state of New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and a couple of schools in Maine about my pup. You know you're making a difference in the world when your pup passes and you get that kind of response, right? Now, I love my dog very dearly. They're as important to me as anything in my world. But to see that they mattered that much to the rest of the world says that we were on the right path and doing some good things. And I think that we all look for a little affirmation. Are we doing the right thing? It helps. And I think seeing that told me, you bet, you're on the right path. And when this little girl came into my world, I said, we got some big paws to fill, but I think I know the path to show you. And the response continues to be that strong.